Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Strauss, the Great Operas. Yeah, that's what it is. On Warner, a 22 CD collection of lots of Strauss operas. Oh, look, there went Mildred. And, the obvious comparison with this is the DG big box of the complete Strauss operas. This is not complete. I don't know if we need the complete Strauss operas if you're not a really dyed-in-the-wool hardcore Strauss person. It's probably better just to get the biggies and enjoy them. And if you're starting out on your Strauss journey, you may want to consider this too, because it's terribly inexpensive. The problem, of course, is that it doesn't have texts and translations. Sometimes they have them like on little separate downloadable thingies, and I'm going to try and find out. Let's take a look and see if it says anything about that, because that would be really, really handy. No, it just tells you what the operas are. And then, also available. No, that's not it. Design, nope, doesn't say anything about it. So, or at least not obviously. And if it's not obvious, then what's the point, right? So let's see what we got in here. I mean, Strauss's operas are fabulous. There are at least half a dozen or so that are essential, maybe more. It really depends what the record labels have in their catalog. They'll call it the Great X, and then they'll just shove in anything that they happen to have. So there are some not so great Strauss operas in here too, but we'll get to those, or at least not as great, or not acknowledged as great, or whatever. We begin with Salome. Yes, the first great Strauss opera. Of course, before that, there was Guntram, which no one thinks is a great Strauss opera, and then Fire Snot, Feuersnot, which is really great Strauss, but not a great opera. I mean, it's vintage Strauss for the height of his tone poem period. It's gorgeous, really gorgeous, but the plot is so stupid. Anyway, Salome, yes, and this is the Carillon recording with the Vienna Phil and Hildegard Behrens, and it's Joseph Van Dam and Agnes Balza and Karl Walter Böhm and Wislaw Ochman. And it's definitely one of the great Salomes out there. It's fantastic. Hildegard Behrens is one of her great roles. It's just delightful. And then Electra with Wolfgang Sawallisch, Eva Marton, Cheryl Studer, Mariana Lipovshek, Bernd Weichel. Well, I don't think this is one of the greatest Electras out there. You've got Schulte for that, and also I think the Sinopoli, which is like amazing sonically. It's just so incredible. And then there were the live ones with like Astrid Varnay and people like that. So, and the Bohm video with Leonie Rieseneck. Everyone will have their Electras. And Inga Borg, I could just keep going, right? It's not bad. The problem is Eva Marton, who was always a little bit squally and harsh of voice. She's not terrible here. And Sawallisch is very good, but there are better Electras out there. There just are, right? I mean, Hildegard Behrens did Electra too with Ozawa, right? Yes, I think so. Then we've got Rosenkavalier. It's the classic Carillon Rosenkavalier. Definitely one of the great recordings of one of the great Strauss operas, with Elizabeth Schwarzkopf as the Marschallin, and Otto Edelmann, and Christa Ludwig, and Eberhard Wechter, and Teresa Stich-Randall, and Luba Valic as Marianne. My God, she must have been 130. No, maybe not quite. Anyway, definitely one of the biggies. Ariadne of Naxos. I love Ariadne of Naxos. And the Kemper recording, is one of my absolute favorites. It really is. I mean, the Carillon is very good too. It's in mono. But this is gorgeous, with Gundula Janowitz and Sylvia Gesti and Teresa Zillis-Gara and James King and Theo Adam and Peter Schreier as the dancing master. And yeah, it's just wonderful. Absolutely glorious. I mean, Kemper was one of the most amazing Strauss guys ever. So that's really, really nice to have. Then we have Die Frau und Schatten, the Sawallisch recording, which was great until the Schulte came out, which was greater. I mean, what can you do, right? But it's still very good, with Renee Colo, Cheryl Studer, Hannah Schwartz, Andreas Schmidt, Cynthia Seaton, Paul Fry. All those people, lots of people singing and screaming about women lacking shadows and whatnot. It's a great piece. Strauss's greatest opera, maybe? I kind of think it is. It does everything, and including having all of all of the great things he does and all of his defects. Like, it ends like half an hour before the singing stops. But, Strauss's operas are all the same. You have a plot, and the plot stops, and then everyone comes out and starts singing. And they can sing from anywhere from 15 minutes on, and it's usually the best part of the opera, even though it has nothing to do with the opera. Like the final trio in Rosenkavalier, it's another episode, or Salome's scene with the head, or, The plot ends and the singing starts. That's Strauss. He had this peculiar sense of timing. Intermezzo. Is it a great Strauss opera? It's up to you. It's up to you. This is the Savalas recording, and it's very, very good. Lucia Popp, Philip Brammer, Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau. It's Gabriele Fuchs, Adolf Dalla Pozza. It's a strange opera, Intermezzo. It's a real story in Strauss's life where his wife thought that he was having an affair. It's about a composer whose wife thinks he's having an affair. It's very talky. It moves in a sort of Gluckian perpetual recitative style. It's kind of unusual. It's very different, and it has symphonic interludes between the various scenes. An interesting piece, an interesting work, done with a lot of craft and a lot of thought. Maybe not entirely successful because the story is not something that's going to interest most of us. It's a comedy. Strauss wanted to do comedies. He wanted to be the next Mozart. Most people don't realize most of what he wrote were comedies, and no one cares about the comedies because humor in music never goes over very well, and German humor particularly never goes over very well. And Strauss was known after Salome and Electra for being a, expressionistic, master. And, Rosenkavalier was sort of his comic one-off, and then the rest of them were all, no one's quite sure what to make of them. Die Schweigsame Frau. All right, this is with Marek Janowski, The Silent Woman, Ben Jonson play. We all know the story, don't we? It's with Theo Adam, Anneliese Burmeister, Wolfgang Schöne, Eberhard Buchner. This is actually it's kind of cut, pretty seriously cut, I think, in this performance. I'm not 100% sure how cut it is. I have the score. I haven't had time to sit down and really go through with the different recordings and see how much of it is in and how much of it is out, but it's a potentially great opera. It is. It's wonderful, wonderful music. Then we have Friedenstag, Strauss's worst opera ever. Certainly not one of the great Strauss operas, with Savalas. It's about, who cares what it's about? It's just horrible. It's at a garrison and peace is declared and no one's sure whether they're going to fight or not fight. And oh God, it's awful. Daphne, definitely a minor masterpiece, maybe. Beautiful. Bernhard Haiting's lovely, lovely performance with Lucia Popp and Rainer Goldberg and Ortrud Wenkel and Kurt Moll and Peter Schreier and all those people. Really, really a beautiful, bucolic, lovely piece with that fabulous transformation scene. Plot's over, the music starts, the transformation scene where Daphne gets turned into a tree. And finally, the old Savalas Capriccio, the old mono recording, which is still absolutely beautiful, with Schwarzkopf, Vector, Gedda, Fischer-Dieskau, Hans Hodder, Christa Ludwig, Rudolf Christ, Anna Moffo. Where are you going to find a cast? It's just fabulous. I like the Karl Böhm recording better, but no one's going to complain about this. And there you have it. Very easy, right? How many of these suckers? Just take a look at something and see. Yeah, okay, fine. How many of these suckers do we get? Out of curiosity, there are, wait a minute, let me put this away. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 operas, which is a lot of operas. And that's really, really good. Not all of them are great Strauss operas. Some of them are distinctively not, but most of them are. Let's say 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. It's a very good average and a very good legacy. They have EMI, Warner / now it's Warner. It's a fabulous Strauss catalog. So you're in business. If this is your thing and you don't know the Strauss operas and you don't have these all individually when they came out, then by all means, indulge. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.